e te iwi and welcome to this episode of Playmakers. Ko Ravinder Hunia tōku ingoa. Today's guest is a rugby player, an athlete, a business entrepreneur and hosts his very own podcast. Our guest today is Carlos Price. Kia ora e hoa.
Hey Rev, how's it going?
Good, thank you. Hey, I felt like I had quite the mouthful there because there's so many titles to your name. First of all, congratulations. There's, a lot of success surrounding you at the moment, and it's really great to see with our, our rangatahi in around the motu at the moment. So congratulations on that. Before we get into all these beautiful things that you are doing with your career at the moment, let's take a walk down memory lane with your rugby career and how that all started.
Yeah, sweet. I guess it goes all the way back to I was about 3 years old. I think I started playing footy. The snotty nose, cold feet ones down at the Mount Maunganui Rugby Club. Played there my whole life, and then moved to Tauranga Boys for my schooling. Managed to make the first 15 there. My last year there in year 11, and then I spent 2 years up at St Kinnikin College up in Pakuranga. So that was an experience, one of the best experiences of my life, actually. The level of rugby up there is crazy, and just how everyone gets into it, it's something special. It's something that not a lot of people get to experience. So spent a bit of time there. My first year out of school, I was lucky enough to do a deal with Wellington Lions, which I spent 2 years down there with them in the capital. In and out of doing some work with the Hurricanes during that time. Was on a bit of a replacement player contract, things like that. For my last third year out of school, I went to Waikato, played a year there, and then I shot overseas to Australia. Played a season over there at the start of this year. Unfortunately, with COVID, had to come back. The season sort of had to cut off early. So here we are today. Here. Talking to you, Rev.
Awesome. Look, you're very humble in your story, but there's a whole lot more to it than that. You talk about moving around and playing for these different places, different regions, but you're still so very young. So having accomplished all of this in this fairly short amount of time, is a huge accomplishment in itself. What do you pay a tribute to for that, and how would you sum up the rugby career, and where to from here?
I guess the way the game's going, to be honest with you, it's not unusual for someone my age to have gone through that much stuff already. I mean, maybe when I was starting, I was talking about this to someone the other day when I first came out of school, my first year out of school, and I managed to get my debut that year for NPC for Mitre 10. And then I think there might have been 3 other guys our year that played that year. So I think you probably see as well, Rev, that it was pretty, and even before that, it was very unusual for someone, sort of coming out of school to jump straight into that. And now, man, it's just crazy to see that all the boys are in there. You come out of school and you're pretty much straight in there if you're a top player, and none of them look out of place, which is pretty crazy. So I guess where to from here, I'm not sure at the moment. I've actually, for the first time, I've been living back home in Mount Maunganui in the same spot for a couple of years now, and it's probably the first time that I've actually lived in the same spot for a couple of years for a wee while. So it's good to actually be sort of based somewhere again. Recently, I had my first son. He's 11 months old today, actually, and I think stability and sort of, I'm not so much, can't really classify myself as a kid anymore, so I can't sort of throw them around and take them all around places, and I sort of want to give them a bit of a stable home and just I focus a lot on my business at the moment, and trying to, I guess at the moment, sort of get our club back up to status. I play for Mount Maunganui Rugby Club at the moment, and it's a pretty, prestigious club previously, and we haven't been going too well, so trying to get our club back up there, centennial year next year, so stoked for it.
Nice one. And, tamariki will do that. They put things in perspective, don't they, where you have to, find your feet, find that tūranga waiwai and start having, like you said, that word stability. What are the kind of memories, though, that you've collated over the years? What are some of the highlights? You spoke about spending some time with the Hurricanes, the experiences, the people. What did you get out of that?
I think realising how tough it actually is to play at that level, Rev. Especially going in, I think my first preseason with the Canes. Well, the first time I actually ever went in there, I spent 2 weeks with them, and it was my first year out of school. I was 18 years old, and just to be in the changing room, I was on this little. So they got the locker rooms around. That everyone's got their own locker with their sort of name on it, and it goes around. And I was on this little plastic chair at the end of the changing room. But to my right was Bowden Barrett, and to my left was TJ Perenara. And to be sitting there as an 18-year-old kid and looking at these guys, I was like, wow, I was sort of pinching myself at the time. And that led on to just sort of, I guess over time, I sort of felt like they just became friends. And it's sort of, your perspective on it sort of changes. I still talk to TJ. I still ask him for advice every day. We talk quite a bit, and he's to be fair, he's probably one of the best men I've ever met, actually. And the way he's helped me not only sort of navigate my rugby career, but navigate life itself. I ask him for life advice every so often. So getting that out of my experience down in Wellington was awesome. And I mean, I've been able and blessed to have great experiences through footy. I got to spend a couple of years with the New Zealand 20s over in Aussie. Sadly, never went to a World Cup, but it is the way it is, I guess. And recently I just went down and played a bit of Heartland again. So I went and played for the Thames Valley Swamp Foxes, and we played down in Greymouth. So the last time I played in Greymouth was actually my first ever preseason game for the Hurricanes against the Crusaders down there, and played on the same field. And afterwards, in the aftermatch, a couple guys from the Union, West Coast, we were playing against, sort of came up to me and said, "Oh, hey, you came down here a few years ago playing for the Hurricanes," and I was just like, "Geez, I can't even believe you remember that." I was like this little kid that came off the bench for like 20 minutes or whatever at the end, and they managed to remember it. So, I mean, I guess that just shows you how powerful rugby is in New Zealand, especially in those little heartland areas.
Yeah, most definitely. And man, it sounds like you've made some real friends and brothers, family for life. Do you miss it? Do you miss being at that level of rugby and being around, that caliber of player?
Yes, I think I do. Yeah. I think I went through a phase where mentally I was struggling, I think. I was obviously, I look at it sort of this way. Kids sort of get thrown in at quite a young age these days, and some of them thrive with it, and they'll carry on, and they'll be on that escalator, I like to call it. Guys like, obviously, you see Josh Lord, 20 years old, just made his debut for the All Blacks, and Tupou Vai, and guys like this that are coming in and they're handling that pressure that comes with the game and thriving with it. I think you have that on one end, and then I also think you have on the other end kids who can't handle it. And I think I was one of them, to be fair. I think I was too worried about sort of what I was missing out on. I'm 18 years old. All my friends are partying and going out to town, and we've got a game this weekend, and just it's not being able to handle it. And I think even with like a couple of years experience now, and even having my son, it's put things into perspective. It's shown me what you need to be like at that level. And I mean, for sure, I definitely miss it, and I do have sort of aspirations to get back to that level, but I think now where I'm at, there's sort of certain things sitting where I used to think that I needed to make that level, and I used to think only about that level and not where I was at. My feet weren't grounded enough, I don't think. And now I've sort of got that back again. I love my club. I'm back at my home club. I want to see them succeed. And I think that's where I'll find, if I'm to get back to that level, it's going to come from that. It's going to come from me helping my home club get back there, and just be a good character and be a good man around my club, and obviously that flows on and people talk and things like that. So yeah.
How much has being home and, stable and, around familiar faces regularly helped you? Because even though you're still young, it seems like there's been a lot of growing up happening over these last few years.
Oh, growing up would be an understatement, Rev. Over the last couple of years, yeah, I've taken leaps and bounds in those areas. I actually do look at myself as a person coming out of school, and I'm not really proud of the person I was, to be honest. And just even things like coming through school, I managed to make the teams. I was down with made Chiefs 18s, and then I'd signed with Wellington and the Hurricanes before, during my year 13 years. So I played Hurricanes 18s. I made the New Zealand schools team. I got to start. I made the New Zealand 20s team. And when things start hitting you where you don't make it, it's how you deal with that. And I don't think I dealt with it very well. The pressure of that and the pressure of performance and stuff. But I think I've found the sort of what do you call it? I guess the foundation of it is, I found my foundation again. I found why I played the game. I found the love again, because I did lose the love for it, to be honest with you, for about maybe a year. And yeah, I'm loving playing again. I'm playing a bit more first five now. Actually, been playing for my club. I've moved out of position. I've enjoyed that move. Still enjoy halfback, but loving the first five role. Yeah.
It's amazing. And, you kind of find your meaning and your purpose in life, and sometimes it's beyond the call that you thought it would be originally. And these are the types of kōrero that you're having in your podcast now, which I think is really admirable, and more of our, tāne Māori need to be doing that, because it's realistic, And do you feel, let's jump into your podcast now, Hustlers, which is great. Everyone, download it, listen to it today. It's great to hear someone talking about those types of experiences that other people would never know about unless you had gone through it. So why did you feel compelled to talk about these types of experiences, from your perspective, to put that out there to anyone who was willing to listen to it?
First reason I actually started a podcast was I was listening to a guy, Isaac John, who started the ICE Project. He is a owner of a clothing brand in Australia called YKTR, very successful brand now. And he put me onto a guy, actually, Gary V. And a lot of people, I think, would be quite familiar with the guy, Gary V. And I listened to his thing. He said every business should have a podcast, and you just need to find your niche with that podcast, and you need to be raw and authentic. And so that's essentially why I started. And then my purpose for why I had the podcast changed as I did it. I started talking on it, and I started feeling like it was not only like a mental release for me, but it started becoming a mental release for other people as well. And we got guys like Adi Savia and TJ and a lot of boys actually in that top tier level of footy now, promoting vulnerability and it's okay for a man to cry. It's okay to not feel okay and to ask for help. And I think there's certain things that I went through within the first few years of my career mentally that I think relates to a lot of people. And I just wanted to share that. And it's, the best kick I get out of a podcast is when someone messages me and says it helped them mentally, or it sort of gave them the drive to do something that they've been worried about doing because of judgment and things like that. I'm a massive believer in that, and promoting the who cares what people think. I lived off judgment for a long time, and judgment doesn't affect what I do anymore. I do what makes me happy and what provides for my family. And I think that promoting that, happiness seems to sound like something that should come naturally to everyone, but it actually has to be practiced. And I'm starting to learn that, and my life's better for it at the moment.
On that topic of your podcast, you obviously talk about your business and what you do outside of sport. You are talking to athletes, but you're also talking to businessmen. There's a lot of kōrero you talk about in terms of logistics. There's quite a wide range of things that you talk about. So what are the other avenues in which you can use your podcast to help, you and your mahi as well?
So we like my podcast, and again, I'm linking this back to Gary Vee. I learn a lot of him. We live off the three pillars of entertainment, education, or documenting our journey. And every podcast we do has to fall under one of those three, or if it falls under two or three, even better. So what I said about like leaving things out as well, and using the phone to record the podcast at the start, and then recently I got to go up into Indigo Studios and start recording my podcasts. People see the difference. People see the journey. They get to see where you've come to because they saw where you were at the start, and that's the journey. Things that I learn, I try and preach. So stuff like that, I've had massive hiccups with shipping and importing stuff from China and importing stuff from overseas, because it's a lot more than what you think. Looking in from the outside, you think you just buy stuff and it comes in and then you sell it. Like, but it's not how it works. And so there's little things and mistakes that I made, and I'm just trying to teach so other people don't make those mistakes as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So we try to either educate people, documenting our journey, where we are at as a business. We do an episode every week. Myself and Sharan, who is another pretty successful rugby player, Sharan Mātui, who played for Taranaki, did a bit with the Chiefs. He does a bit of work for 138 now. He's pretty much our first employee, I guess you would say. And we do an episode every week called The Latest, where we sort of give people an update on where we are at as a business, where our numbers are at. We're transparent as a business, and that's what I've learned to do, and I've found it's the best, because when we have a mistake, when we have a hiccup with shipping and things don't get here on time, we just tell people, and people are more understanding than you think, rather than just trying to hide it and come up with some excuse on why the shipment isn't here for another 2 weeks. We just front the camera and go, hey, look, I messed up. This is what's happened, and this is what's going to happen. And people go, bro, it's all good. Thanks for letting us know, and things like that. So, I guess it's that same sort of transparent approach.
Yeah, newsflash, everyone. Everyone's human. And it happens. Yeah. It happens all the time. But let's talk about that. You've mentioned the name of your business, 138. What is it, and why is it?
So 138 is it's a clothing brand, streetwear clothing brand. I started a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, 2 years and 1 month actually. And 138 is the address of the house I grew up in, the street number. So I started a little clothing business when I first left school when I was in Wellington, and it was more of a hobby, I guess you would say. I didn't know how to run a business or anything, but I stopped it because I didn't like where it was going, and I pretty much said, I'm going to start this again one day, but with a little bit more knowledge and with a little bit more reasoning behind what I'm doing. And so that's why I started 138, and we live by the motto, inspired by purpose. So having purpose in everything that we do.
Off camera, I said this to you, that it's quite amazing that you can get to call this mahi. You can clearly see how passionate you are about this work, and everything that you're putting out is you all over, So you probably don't know any other way, really, because you've been doing this for so long now. But, how much does it mean in terms of owning a business? Someone can go and run a McDonald's, or you can run a business like what you're doing, where the sentiment is just you all over. How does that make you feel, and how do you, I suppose, keep motivated to keep going?
Motivation is something that I think can be mistaken a lot. I just love what I do. Like, I love every day. It feels fun to me. Doesn't feel like work. Like you sort of said to me, Rev, off the thing, it doesn't feel like work. So I think when you can find something that you love doing every single day, to me, that's success. Waking up on Monday morning and being happy and thinking, yes, can't wait to get back into work. That's the measure of success for me. And so I'm happy in what I'm doing, and that motivates me, I guess, to turn up every day, because I love it so much. And I mean, little milestones we get. We just signed off today actually on our first lease for our first little office, and it's a 20 square meter office or something like that. It's a little square room at the back of a gym. But I'm sitting in it today, and I was so happy. Like I'm sitting there, like, wow, I've made it. And documenting this. So one day, I can look back at this and be like, wow, I thought that was so cool. Like I thought it was so cool in that little office at the back of that gym, and I guess yeah. To answer your question, it's finding something that you love doing every day, and focusing on that. And I know there's absence of choice for some people. Some people don't have a choice to do what they love every day. And so in that sense, I'm very grateful that I'm in a position that I can do that. I have a good family support and network around me to help me in case anything falls. But yeah.
Nice one, and congratulations on the new space. Well done. It's a testament to all the hard work you're doing, and you're right, it's not going to be where you end up, but it's a great place to start. After coming out of, the rugby career and the rugby dream, and now coming into your business and doing something else that you're so passionate about, does it make you think about plan B in life, and, how many athletes or upcoming athletes really do go all in on these sporting careers, but does it kind of make you think about the importance of plan Bs after a sporting career?
Oh, 100%. And that's actually a lot of the reason why we do it as well, is to show, and I think it's changing. Like, I think the narrative's changing. I think a lot of people are focusing on what they're going to do after. And probably, I guess, a thing that I'd like to talk about a lot is maximizing your leverage while people care about you. People love to look at what you're doing. People love to see what Arisavi is eating for breakfast. And why not use that while you have that power? I think that a lot don't. So, there are people that are very private and private people, and that's absolutely fine. But I just think that there's a whole lot of untapped things that are used that within business and within like sporting athletes. I think that not just only looking for plan B for after, but also things that you can do during, because believe it or not, having something else that you can focus on outside of rugby and love just as much as rugby will help you on the footy field, so you're not immersed in rugby all the time.
Totally. That is 100% true. Where do you see all of this going, Carlos? I don't think you're a person that'll just do things willy-nilly, step by step. I'm sure you have, a grand plan of where this will all go in the future. Where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years?
Oh, that's very flattering, actually, but I actually don't have a plan. I'm just taking every day as it comes, and I'm just sort of happy to tick boxes as we go. Jumping on this is a privilege. I've seen some of the guests that you've had on, so to be on this, like, that's another little I guess tick for me, and I'm grateful to be on. And I guess the main goal for me is building a brand and a community, because we're a community business, so building a community that people can feel a part of, and just growing that community. And so I get, I had a message the other day and said, oh bro, what you've created is so crazy that it started as a letter in your book, and now it makes someone like me feel a part of something big and special and a big movement. And that's what I want. That's my goal. And if I can just continue to grow on that, that'll be success for me. I could say I want to be the biggest brand coming out of New Zealand, the biggest, I want to be known with world clothing brands. But to be honest with you, those are the wins for me. And I think that stuff up top sort of looks after itself, as long as you look after what's going on down bottom.
My God, I feel like nearly everything you say you could print on a t-shirt, honestly. It's quotes galore. Oh, look, Carlos, thank you so much for joining me today. And I must say, it's these kind of kōrero that keep me motivated too. It's the stories, it's the journeys, and I wish you nothing but the best for you and your whānau moving forward. And we'll be keeping an eye on you, and you're welcome back anytime.
Awesome, Rev. I appreciate it. And maybe you have to be one of the first wahine to jump on mine, eh? What do you reckon?
Let's do it. Let's do it. I am down.
All right.
I would be honoured.